Well, I have just had one heaven of a day.
Hello, boss. Been tough, has it?
Depressing, really. I thought I'd nip out and do a bit of tempting, keep my hand in.
And you couldn't hook one?
Hook one? I hooked dozens.
But that's good, isn't it?
I suppose so. But it's not like the old days. In the old days, tempting was an art form. You had to use cunning, guile and deception. Nowadays, you just have to point them at a label saying interest-free credit and you're halfway there.
Buy now, pay later. Oh, that was one cherub of an idea.
I know. But now I'm a victim of my own success. It's all too easy. Why, I remember the first job I did. It was a classic. It had style.
It had fruit.
Exactly. Who else but me could turn a minor act of scrumping into the fall of mankind? Left to herself, the woman would have settled for a couple of plums and a kiwi fruit. I had to use finesse. It was a challenge.
The old snake and apple routine. We still study it in school.
The apple was symbolic of the knowledge of good and evil, you see. When she took the golden delicious, it was a metaphor for her disobedience. It was all very clever.
Nowadays, you just need to say it was part of a calorie-controlled diet.
Oh, yes. Though I say so myself, that was brilliant. Imagine us being able to turn something as natural and as wholesome as food into a major source of neurosis.
You'd have thought that people would have got wise to us by now.
They'll never learn.
Not now you've made bunking off school such a temptation, no.
Let's face it, I am the master, the undisputed champion of the world.
well, not quite undisputed.
And what exactly do you mean by that?
Nothing.
No, you can speak freely. Who do you think disputes by mastery of this world?
Well, you know.
No.
The person whose name we're not allowed to mention.
And who is that?
Oh, I can't say.
Yes, you can.
No, I can't.
You can.
I can't.
You must.
Oh.
Who disputes my mastery, my lordship, my sovereignty?
Jesus.
Pardon?
Jesus.
I told you never to speak that name.
But you said...
Come here.
Oh, you're going to hit me.
No, I'm not.
You always hit me if I say the name I'm not allowed to mention.
Well, I'm not going to hit you this time.
Promise?
I promise. Come here.
Ow! You hit me. You said you wouldn't.
I lied. I'm famous for it.
It's not my fault you couldn't tempt him.
Tempt whom?
Jesus. Oh!
You complete and utter angel. You have to keep bringing it up, don't you?
I'm sorry.
He cheated.
Who did?
He whose name we do not utter.
Oh. Ow! But I didn't say anything.
But you thought it.
I thought that when he went out into the desert for 40 days to pray and to fast, he went so you could tempt him.
Exactly. He caught me off guard.
40 days' notice wasn't enough for you?
After 40 days without food, I realised he'd be peckish. All I wanted him to do was make a sandwich.
You wanted him to turn the stones of the desert into bread.
A mere conjuring trick for him. He did them all the time. Water into wine, feeding 5,000 people a small boy's packed lunch, healing the sick, raising the dead, blah, 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 blah.
So why wouldn't he do it? I mean, he must have been starving.
He said, "It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God."
Oh, so what did you do next?
I appealed to his vanity. I took him right to the top of the temple.
You thought the breeze would cool him down, did you?
I was doing him a favour.
You told him to jump off.
Oh, come on. We both knew his daddy would send a flight of angels to catch him. Think of the entrance he would have made. It would have been the making of the lad. People would still be talking about him now.
They are still talking about him now.
Who?
Jesus. Oh!
And then I offered him the world if he would but bow down and worship me.
And did he?
He told me to shove off.
Really?
Well, his actual words were, "Get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve." But I knew what he meant.
Perhaps he knew the world wasn't yours to give.
A technicality.
I'll face it. You went head to head with the Son of God and lost. You gave it your best shot, but you blew it. You just weren't up to the job.
You cheeky little seraphim. I'll have you know I'm still the number one cause of misery and mayhem.
Oh, come off it. No one takes you seriously anymore.
Exactly. And now every time someone gives in to temptation, they think, it doesn't really matter, I'm only human. They don't seem to realise that the very point of being human is the ability to resist temptation, to think for themselves.
It's a good thing for us that they don't stop and think for themselves and make our job a lot harder.
True. But it would be nice if they put up a bit of a struggle. It makes it so much more satisfying when they fail. Okay. What's next on the agenda?
You've got a meeting with Death, Famine, War and Disease. Oh, they want to discuss the stabling facilities we provide for their horses. Oh, then you've got to find work for some idle hands.
No rest for the wicked, eh?
Oh, let's hope not.